Theoretical probability works a little bit different. With theoretical probability, what we look at is we're actually going to do something. So, I'm sorry, experimental, excuse me. We just talked about theoretical. A cup is flipping 100 times. If it lands on its side 84 times and on its bottom 6 times, and on its top 10 times, find the probability that it will land on its top. So what's the first thing that flashes to your mind that makes this not theoretical? If you said that the events are not equally likely, you're exactly right. In this case here, we have a situation where there's other factors. We're talking about a cup. It's not equally likely that the cup's going to land on these different ways because, the top is bigger than the bottom, and both the top and the bottom are smaller than the side. So, it's not as equally likely that your events are going to occur. In this case here, the probability works the same way. It's still favorable outcome over your total number of outcomes. In this case here, the favorable is whatever you're asking for. So in this problem here, the question said, what's the probability, this is read as, what's the probability of it landing on top? We go back up to our word problem, and it says that when we did our experiment, 10 times it landed on its top. So in this case here, our experimental probability, or empirical they call it, is 10 out of 100, because our total number of outcomes is 100, and in that case the probability is 1/10. Now let's think of this for a second. What is an outcome? Top, bottom, side. Okay? What is the experiment? Flipping the cup. Okay? An event is a subset of the solution set. Well, in this case here, an event could be it lands on its side. Or an event could be that it lands on the bottom. Or an event could be that it lands on its top. But my sample space, the key thing to remember here, is that my sample space is made up of the number of tops, the number of bottoms, and the number of sides. And the number of tops is 10, the number of bottoms is 6, and the number of sides is 84. And those things all added together add up to 100. 100 possible outcomes. So just real quickly, we go back through, and just so you can see it written down, if an event may happen when an experiment is performed, then the empirical probability of the event, E, is written as that. So it's just a language piece. It's the same thing. Here is the favorable over the total number. Looks exactly like we've been talking about. So here we go. Card hands. There are 2,598,960 possible hands in poker. If there's 36 possible ways to get a straight flush, find the probability of being dealt a straight flush. Bam, there it is. Notice here that it's written as a decimal. A lot of times we want to write it as a decimal because it's going to help us later on when we find odds. But for now, we'll just go ahead and say, okay, here we are. We have a fraction. We convert it to a decimal. Just be prepared on the quiz to go either way. Would this be called empirical or theoretical? Did someone actually take a deck of cards and see how many possible ways there are to get a straight flush? Probably not. So you think this would be theoretical, but it's experimental because it's not equally likely. Okay? It's not equally likely you're going to get a straight flush as it is that you're going to get a full house. It's not equally likely that you're going to get a pair that you are going to get a straight flush. So in this case here, this is going to be empirical or experimental. Okay, because empirical and experimental are the same thing. So just keep that in mind. Not equally likely. That's the key thing. Okay, let's see. Gender of a student. A school has 820 male students, 835 female students. If a student from the school is selected at random, what is the probability the student will be a female? Well, first thing is what's my total population? Sometimes in these problems, you've got to go and take and find your total based upon what they give you. So that's what they're showing you here, is that they took the 820, they took the 835, and they put those together on the bottom to give them their total outcome, their total possible outcomes. Then on top, they put the number of females, which they took from the data at the top. Bam, there you go. There's your probability. Now, this is basically saying that you got a 50% chance. You know, if we converted this to a percentage, a 50% chance of getting a girl, approximately, or a female. All right, empirical or theoretical? Are the events equally likely? Is it equally likely that you're going to get a female as you are going to get a male? No, it's not. So therefore, this is empirical probability or experimental. Remember, they go they're hand in hand. But it's all about the equally likely.